Okay, so I want to talk about study goal number 19. And if you can do this, try to make like a screen capture or I guess pause it and write it in your own hand and then print your screen capture or whatever. Because I found a photograph of the whiteboard where I put all the notes up that we were going to talk about. So watch. Get ready to make a screen capture or something. I don't know if these papers get turned around when they go on the screen, by the way. Okay. Try to capture that. Pause here. Photograph, whatever. I hope you got that. Maybe I'll hold it up at the end of the video or something. So I'm gonna try to narrate this as if I was at a whiteboard. I know it's kind of lame, but I'm trying. Here's our waste stream. So like back there, stuff came out of the ground. It went into a factory. It went into distribution. It showed up at the Walmart. You used it up, and then when you were done with your box full of colored pencils or whatever, you threw them in the trash. So here's our total waste stream. You can see that's a pretty big pile. And the goal of zero waste management is to get this down to as little bit as possible going into that landfill. Ideally, zero going into the landfill. So I'm going to just throw out a couple of terms really quick, and then I'll talk about them a little bit more, and then we'll get into some details about a few of these. First of all, integrated waste management, IWM, integrated waste management, is having as many parts as possible that all work together to get rid of this. So like a program where they take old paint and they recycle it to make dye for plastic, that's integrated waste management. That's like a program at Home Depot or whatever. I can take my used motor oil when I do an oil change over to like the place where they sold me the oil, the whatever auto parts store. That's integrated waste management. Honestly, like Craigslist is integrated waste management because you have a system that helps you reuse stuff when you're done with it. So I go to sell some Yakima racks off my wife's car, and like, hey, they would have gone to the trash otherwise. Now somebody else is reusing them. So it's a really broad term. It's all the things that you can do as a society at the national, state, local, friendly, in-house level to reduce your net waste. For example, some things that you could do. You could, at home, just avoid trash. Like, hey, I don't need any bags. I'm just gonna put that stuff in my shirt, or I'll use the cart to throw it in the box on the back of my motorcycle. Avoiding trash. I honestly, like, sometimes people will like give me a T-shirt. I'm like, I'm never gonna wear that. I got fat armpits. I'm not gonna wear that shirt. Just keep it. Or like every time I go to a conference, they're like, "Oh, take our pencil. It has a phone number that you can call." And I'm like, "You can keep your pencil, thanks. Like, I don't need any more pencils. Honestly, I pick them up off the ground. I got more pencils than I need. One of you left this in my classroom. Now it's mine." Anyway, avoiding. There's a really important term called source reduction, which is like, let's not even make the trash. So like if we boycott disposable things, they'll stop making them. Like laws that make it so that you can't create disposable stuff. That's source reduction. Like the straw ban, which by the way, I have a lot of complaints about the straw ban. But anyway, that's an example of source reduction. Then there's what's called systemic diversion. That's in the waste system, in our case, Marburg and stuff. What can we do to divert? You see, I'm turning these arrows away from our landfill. Divert material. So the blue bin is the recycling, and the green bin is the mulch, and the yellow bin is the organic waste and compost. And Marburg has special programs like you can put the batteries on top in a plastic bag, or you can go to UCSB to dump your hazmat, or they've got e-waste pickup spots. That's systemic diversion, meaning there are features within our waste disposal system that move stuff away from the landfill. Diversion. Some of those things aren't great, honestly. We can talk about that. I'll be back. Then, something else that's pretty cool is getting useful things back from the trash itself. Like if you squeeze it, maybe you can get water, and that water could be treated or filtered and used for some other purpose. If you take all the organic material and you digest it anaerobically, anaerobic digestion should always be in your notes. Anaerobic, like without oxygen, digestion, that makes methane. So in many landfills, they add a little bit of water and they wait for decomposing organisms to bubble out methane, and then you can use that as a generator, energy source. So you can recover water, you can recover energy, or sometimes you can recover nutrients, like using wastewater as a fertilizer for golf courses and median strips. That's all stuff that would have otherwise gone to waste. So any ways that we can recover them means it was something that's still handy that was mixed into the trash, and by squeezing it, we got the water out. Or by capturing that carbon and feeding it to organisms, we got methane that's an energy source. Something else that you can use is just plain old reuse things. Like, I don't know, everybody says that stuff is disposable, but it's only disposable when you decide to throw it out. Like, honestly, I could take this and fill it up with water and then use it again. You've seen that I don't like to throw away my glass bottles because they keep my drinking water cold in my classroom. I'm kind of a pack rat. Like, I keep all sorts of trash. Whenever people throw stuff out, I'm like, I could probably use that for something. I built my chicken coop with almost entirely trash. Like, I had to buy the plastic roofing and the wire. That's really it. And so the point is, reuse is a really good concept, shrinking our waste stream. And then as a similar concept, you can take things apart and use parts. Like, you all realize that cars are made to be modular. And then you can take those parts and you can reuse them. They're called scrap yards. Like, we don't do that for computers because we just haven't made the computer manufacturers do that. But we could require that they be a little less sexy and a little more modular, so that when I'm done with this computer, I would take it to a place where somebody would take it apart and find reusable pieces. And computers are not made to do that, but cars were regulated to be super standardized so that like all the screws would be a same, like one of two thread types. You know, like metric or standard American or whatever. Like, we don't have that kind of regulation for electronics, but we could. Cars are meant to be disassembled and remanufactured. We could do that with clothing. Maybe you've heard that like Patagonia has a program where they take all your plastic clothing and they shred it and then they like re-blow the fiber, and that's less energy use than making virgin plastic fiber. I kind of hate Patagonia, but this thing about recycling clothing, it uses less carbon than the alternative, and obviously it keeps their plastic fibers in use instead of going into the ground. So, right on.